Hey guys, James here. Welcome to the second video on my Guild Wars 2 series. Here I'm just going to be going over the build that I was using in the PvP video that I released last week. So if you haven't had a chance to catch that video yet, use the link at the bottom of the page and that'll take you straight over there, or you can go through my channel. This will just let you understand a little bit about what I'm talking about and decide if it's even a playstyle that you want to consider using. Now before we get down into the detail, I just want to position what I designed this build for. Over the beta weekend I was doing a lot of tournament play with my guild. Because of this, I rely quite heavily upon them in a defensive aspect. So I've actually neglected to pick up a lot of the really important traits that would keep you alive and provide a lot of survivability as a warrior. So if 1 versus 1 or you don't have the backup and support that I do in the video, it's definitely worth making a couple of changes. I'll probably go over them at the end of the video just to give you an idea of what they might be. First and foremost, this is a greatsword build. So all the traits and the abilities, they all go towards making you more effective and making the greatsword much more fun to play with. So do bear that in mind when you play and try and stick with the greatsword as much as possible, or as much as is appropriate. You notice in my greatsword I actually went for the Sigil of Superior Force. This gives me another 5% damage. Now, it's not one of the more flashy sigils that you can use, but really at the moment the other ones didn't offer me enough information on the kind of damage that they did, so I just stuck with a nice calm 5% damage increase. Now, my secondary weapon setup was the axe and the Warhorn. It's quite a weird one, I haven't really seen anybody else using it, but I put it together for structured PvP, purely for the speed boost that it gives to the team, and of course the massive crit you get on weapon swap. Now, how you make sure you get this is you put the Sigil of Superior Intelligence in your axe, Superior Doom on your Warhorn. Now what this does is it means that you get a guaranteed crit and 30% extra damage on your first ability after weapon swap. So the goal is to build up your adrenaline with your greatsword, you switch across, the first move is a nice big eviscerate. You'll see this done loads in the video. You'll see me miss this loads in the video and it really is a devastating moment when that happens. Now in terms of abilities, first of all healing. I went for the healing ability that actually removes 2 conditions, purely because when you combine this with the traits in the strength tree later on, you've actually got a heal that removes all cripples, immobilizes, 2 additional things, and freezes as well, and also weakness actually. So this heal really is substantial. It's not one I can really justify trading out for anything. The second ability is called for Great Justice. It's a very offensive ability. It gives 10 seconds of Fury and 30 seconds of 1 stack of Might for the entire, really with anybody within about a 20-foot radius when you pop it off. 25-second cooldown, very offensive ability. Middle one, Pulse Charge. Every greatsword warrior's best friend. It is absolutely brilliant and also absolutely essential. There's no way as a greatsword warrior you can really justify not picking this up. 40-second cooldown on a ranged 2-second knockdown. It's great for getting those 100 blades off. The next one along is called Frenzy. This actually gives 4 seconds of quickness. This doubles your animation speed for 4 seconds. Very, very good for using 100 blades, because obviously you're immobilized while you use it, and you don't actually have to pin the enemy down for anywhere near as long. Now the elite skill's a tough choice. You can either go for the Signet of Rage or the Banner. Personally, I go for the Banner just because of the stability and the fury that it gives to me and my allies. It's a slightly bigger cooldown, but it's an absolutely brilliant move. Now for the fun bit. What armor am I wearing? I've had more people asking about the cosmetic armor than the stats, so I'll go there first. I'm actually wearing a mix of the Flame and Dragon set, as you can see. I've got Flame chest, shoulders and gloves, Dragon head and waist. This is all gear I picked up in tournament play. You appear to get much rarer gear from coming first, second and third place in tournaments than you do from the low level glory vendors. So if you're after some nice looking gear, definitely go play some tournaments, worth getting a team together for. In terms of stats, I went for 6 runes of divinity. These give plus 10 stats in every slot. Overall, these give a higher stat boost than any of the other rune layouts. They also give an additional 18% crit damage bonus, which is huge as a crit build. It really does help. Now, my amulet, I went for the Soldier's Amulet. It's a tough choice between this and Berserker. but the survivability is so much better with the Warrior's Amulet. It's worth just taking your time a little bit more. That said, I did swap out the Jewel for a Berserker Jewel, just to really find me a nice balance between the two. As I mentioned earlier, the trait section where this build gets a little bit controversial. I've actually ignored the two great traits that you can get in the defensive build. That's the Endure Pain and the Stability traits, both of which are brilliant if you're playing on your own. So what I did pick up is the 20 points in strength, 20 in arms, 30 in discipline. This gave me a very offensive build with a crit chance that totaled out at around 18 to 20% and just over 2k power, I believe, so it's very, very high damage output. In the strength tree, the major traits I went for were restorative strength. This is the thing that actually augments my heal to taking off my weakness, cripple, freeze and immobilize. Definitely worth picking up. The next one was slashing power. It's just a 10% damage increase on my greatsword. On arms, rending strikes puts vulnerability on the target, reducing their defense, of course making them take more damage, which is it's an okay, because it's only one in 3 crits that this actually happens, but it is worth getting when the choice is between a couple of the other things. Next one was Momentous Greatsword. This means that you pick up might on every critical hit. If you've watched the video, keep an eye on the stacks of might at any one time. It's normally between 3 and 7 in combat when I haven't got any cooldowns up. That equates to anywhere between 100 and extra 200 power. So it's between 5 and 10% damage increase, which is pretty massive. Discipline tree. Warriors sprint in the first one. I don't know how much faster that lets you run with melee weapons, but to be honest, even if it's only 5%, I think it's still worth picking up. Next one's mobile strikes. Great fun. Absolutely great fun. This means any movement skills, so that's your whirlwind attack, rush with the greatsword, and bull's charge, they all break immobilizers. Now, if you've watched the video, the best example of this is when I'm fighting the engineer at the start. He throws his little net on me, and I managed a whirlwind attack to take out both of his turrets, after about a 5-second delay for my reactions to kick in. Other than that, I just picked up the adrenal reserves. It's not the best trait on there. I'm not sure how much it reduces the cost of your burst skills. I really went the extra way for the 10% crit damage and burst skill increase. Now, I promised I'd make some suggestions about how you can change this for a more solo build when you haven't got the backup that I had. I would stick with the greatsword, definitely. I would swap your Warhorn out for a shield. This gives much better survivability. It also gives really good mobility because you can break more immobilizers because of your little your charge stun that you get on ability number 4. Now, in terms of skills, I'd probably swap for Great Justice out for a pair of Bolas. 20-second cooldown and 4-second immobilize lets you get literally 3 times as many 100 blades in. So it's a lot of fun if you haven't got a trusty guardian friend to come along and immobilize with those chain things. Other abilities, I'd definitely go for the Sigil of the Signet of Rage, sorry, if you're playing on your own, because the banner, obviously, the benefits aren't anywhere near as good. In terms of the trait lines, I'd probably swap out 10 points in Discipline and put 10 points in Defense. Then you've got the choice. You can either go for the 5 seconds in Vulnerability from Enduring Pain, or the 8 seconds of Stability when you get stunned. The other potential change are you could swap out Slashing Power in the Strength tree for the trait that actually reduces the cooldowns of your utility skills by 20% and increases their damage by 100%. It's one I'd probably swap out even for the supporting build anyway, so that's probably a change I would make. Okay guys, I believe that's everything. If any more questions have come up or I've neglected to answer one, do get in touch and I'll do my best to answer you as soon as possible. I've got big plans for the next beta weekend, so if you want to see some more Warrior footage, do click the subscribe button at the bottom of the page and I'll see you all online. Have fun!